thought about using live streaming on social media? And not just regular video, live streaming. You're like, why does it even matter? And what is the difference? Well, I can tell you what the difference is. But my name is Rose. I am also known as Jackson Hole Rose, as I had my name trademarked years ago. But I am the owner also of the Live Streaming Secret Circle, which is a special group for women to learn all about how they can get on camera and how they can do it in the best way possible. So, right now, we're going to talk about live streaming versus regular video because you may or may not know the difference between either of those. And is it really going to be a thing with business owners in the future? I've got you. So, I started a blog back in 2007. Yes, quite a while ago, maybe about 17 years ago, and I was really excited to start it because I had a reason to. And my reason was, here was my reason. I had just sold almost everything I owned and basically was going to leave the corporate world. So it was very exciting, and I wanted to make sure that I was staying in touch with the people that I was close to. And so I thought, what better way than just to write something about it in a blog, and then everyone just goes to the link. So that's what I had done. And, I basically, if you didn't know this, I left the corporate world to become an outdoor guide. And that's what I was doing. And that, funnily, it's funny to know that that blog still exists to this day. I don't update it as often, but it is pretty much updated. I think the last time I did it was July. So if you want to go have a look, I will also post that below, the link for it. But it's backroadsrose.wordpress.com. And you'll see all kinds of fun stuff. So I was this early user of social media. And I also saw the wave coming when people didn't believe that social media was going to be here for all businesses. And people would literally say to me, Rose, you've got to be kidding. Like, Facebook and my business is going to be a thing. And I said, yes, absolutely. But there were the haters, which we always get the haters, right? There's the haters, and then there's the people that have already accepted and that will change and that want to be on the verge of change, like myself. And so I worked with all the early adopters. But, I thought to myself, how is anyone going to believe me that I know how to use social media? Well, I did get my start with the Chamber of Commerce here in Jackson Hole that allowed me to do I guess we called it a seminar back then. So it was a seminar where I went over the big five. It was Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, blogging, and Twitter. Those were the big five. And YouTube was in there, which was interesting. But I basically got a certificate from this place called Social Media Magic University. Because I thought, you know what, how are people going to know that I know what I'm talking about? And I thought that the only way to do that was to get training from the best, which I could tell you one of my teachers was Mari Smith, who is very amazing in the Facebook world. I adore her. And I've met her in person, and she's so lovely. So anyway, we've known video for a while. Like, if we talk about video, we're like, okay, yes, I know, we should be on video, we should do this, da-da-da-da-da. But it always gets pushed to the back burner, right? So we can actually know a person better with it. Like, my YouTube channel, for example, showed for a long time my voiceover work and a static picture of me. That was all you saw. So you didn't really know who I was or how I spoke or if I was able to even be on camera. So here I am on camera, and I just wanted to make sure, like, can we actually connect with people just doing regular video? Because what I see on regular video now is stitching. So that means I'd be talking and saying, hi, my name's Rose. Then you'd see like a clip happen, right? Like a, it'd be like, and I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And if I made a mistake between Jackson and Wyoming, I might say, and I'm from Jackson, Wyoming. You probably wouldn't do it that way, but you know what I'm saying? The stitching together of actual videos it loses the connection when you're trying to make a connection in a one way. So like right now, I'm doing a live stream. So you could actually write stuff in and I could answer your questions, which is a more immersive experience. So the stitching of the videos, but also there's other stuff too, right? That cutesy music that you want to pick, or that cool music that kind of goes with the whatever you're doing with your physical body, right? And in addition to that, there's also stickers. Oh, how fun can stickers be? And filters that will actually change your face, right? I don't believe in using stickers, filters, all those things. But that is a different type of marketing. So not to say, oh, this is bad, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is live streaming is a different type of marketing. The other marketing seems like it will bring in the others because it's short and cutesy and this and that, and it takes production. But live streaming, you know what? I usually say, well, you're thinking right now, like, well, if I did a live stream, Rose, I might have mistakes. F perfect is what I say. Because when you think about it and you go live, people actually connect with you because you make mistakes. I can tell you a fun little thing about how I was driving over to what we call the other side. So the other side is Idaho. We live right on the border here in Jackson Hole, on the border, the left-hand border of Wyoming. I know, I'm supposed to think west. I live on the west border of Wyoming. And so literally just 30 minutes over to the other side, you would hit Idaho. So I was driving over there to go do something, and they had closed a road, so completely closed, and I'm just sitting there waiting because I really wanted to get over to Idaho in a different area. And I said, you know what, I'll just do a live right now. So I took out my phone, and I placed it down, and I was talking to them, and I wanted to show them outside the wind whipping around, because it really was snowstorming, which is why the road was closed. And I picked up the phone, and I turned it this way, and then all of a sudden, I dropped it. And it went underneath my seat, right underneath. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but I had to keep going. I was doing a live, so I thought, okay, well, guess what, guys? I just dropped the phone. But you know what? I'm not going to open my car door right here because it's storming out there, and I am not going to let that Wyoming wind in here. And little did I know that people were chuckling and thinking to themselves, like, oh my gosh, I've done that before. So when they were in the dark, literally in the dark, looking at the bottom of my seat for, my car seat, right? Totally under there in the dark for probably about a minute until I could fish around and really get the phone. And then when I came back, people were like, oh my gosh, I do that all the time, and that's so funny, like this happens. And I thought, wow, I wasn't really concerned about that I had made a mistake, because I was doing live streaming quite a bit at that time. But I was surprised by that reaction. I just never thought that people would really connect even further through a mistake I made. So, here's the other thing that I believe. You know, the rise of AI has been very, very top of mind lately. How else would you put that? AI is here. I mean, it's around the corner with more things that it's going to be. But if we think about AI and the rise of AI, there's going to be a race for people online to show that they are a true human if they haven't already. One of these things is showing that you are a live person and that you would be, showing yourself on camera and doing it without production, like I'm doing here, right? Like, yes, I hear a lot of people, they do a podcast and they talk, and they're doing things like this, but then they give it to someone, and that someone has to take it, if they're not doing it themselves, and they have to pull it apart, they have to, do this better, and raise the volume, and make this awesome, and put this on there. But it's like, I don't really want any part of that production. But from what I believe is that with the rise of AI, there is going to be a real want and need for live streaming. I bet you all of the business people in the world are gonna start live streaming. And not just business people. I think everyone is gonna start live streaming. And I believe it's gonna happen just like it did with social media. Like, boop, all of a sudden, you were a believer. So if you don't believe me now, I'm glad that I have this video now. Ta-da! Here I am saying what I actually thought 3 years ago. But again, AI is going to challenge us as humans and who we can interact with and who we can actually say, oh, well, they give an immersive experience. When Rose goes live, she's willing to answer our questions. And she actually does answer those, right? Right. No questions today. But there can be questions in the next hour, right? Because you can write them below and I can also take a look at what you said, which I hope it says F perfect. Because you know how I feel about that. But I do believe it's going to be a takeover, kind of like how social media was. So I'll be sharing my YouTube channel up to, let's say, well, I'm gonna do all kinds of cool things with YouTube. I'm really excited because I've been meeting some people who are really good at this, and I think way back when YouTube started getting more extreme with the types of things you could do with it, I kind of turned off because I was like, well, I have to worry about Facebook and Twitter and all these things. Now, what I'd like to do is really up my YouTube. I'm gonna up my YouTube. So that's why I'm asking if you could please, how do we put this? Comment, like, subscribe, and share. And watch out for what I'm going to be doing next. And remember, F perfect. You have to keep it real and stand out by streaming live. It is your authentic edge in the AI age.